For reference, I am female, and this happened when I was 17 years old. I had rented a house with a friend of mine, and we lived several blocks from a convenience store and a grocery store. One night we had decided we were going to walk to the corner store, for whatever reason. As we were leaving the store to go back home, a couple guys pulled up and hollered at us. This was nothing out of the ordinary, so we walked over and started talking to them. After a couple minutes, the guy driving asked us if we wanted a ride. I said no, but my friend hopped in the car, and let's face it, I wasn't going to let her die alone. I got in and she started telling them which way to go. The guy started in that direction, and the other guy in the passenger seat started talking to me. He told me his name, then the idiot showed me his ID. I have never forgotten his name, because I used to know a guy before this, and they had the exact same name. I thought it was kind of funny, because the name was kind of peculiar, and for there to be two people with that name skulking around the planet, well, to me it was funny. Anyway, the guy driving abruptly made a turn, and went a whole other way. I looked at my friend, and I tell ya, if looks could kill, she would have died twice. The guy driving turned into a drive, then stopped at a garage. There were lights on inside the garage, and when these two walked up and knocked on the door, a roll-up door opened. Several people were then looking out at me and my friend. I tried to open my door, no luck. I told her to try her door, same story. We were in luck at this point because, for whatever reason, everyone ducked inside the garage, and just left the two of us sitting in the car. As soon as there was no one in sight, I dove over the front seat, and threw the door open. I let my friend out, and we took off running down the street. It was about 1 in the morning, and we couldn't care less if anyone called the cops about us running through the neighborhood. When we finally made it to the grocery store, there were 2 or 3 huge trash bins along the side of the store. We jumped behind them, and just as we did, another car came screeching up and the passenger threw the rear passenger door open and screamed at us to get in. We blasted off toward the car. We were almost to the car, and yep, you guessed it. I twisted my ankle and went skidding across the concrete. My friend heard the commotion and stopped and turned around only to find me laying on the ground. The girls in the car were screaming at us to run, but my friend ran back to help me up, and practically dragged me to the car. She threw me in, then she jumped in herself. Before she could even attempt to pull the door closed, the driver took off like a bat out of hell. We were completely out of breath, and couldn't say much at this point. The girls in the car were hysterical, and were asking us if we were alright, did I need to go to the hospital, things such as this. The passenger turned around and said, "What the hell is going on?" My friend and I looked at each other, then back at her. She said, "We saw those people chasing you." "What the hell? Are y'all okay?" She said, "We saw them coming around both sides of the building, and one of the guys was right on the other side of the dumpster behind y'all." I told them we were fine, and where to go to let us out. We thanked them for their help, and got out of the car, when we made it to where we were going. We had never seen the girls before, or since. I suppose the guys in the car thought we would be too stupid to go over the seat and get out of the car, or maybe they were too stupid to think of that themselves. Either way, we lived to tell the tale. These girls saved our lives that night. After so many incidents like this happening in my life, these days, I know that angels come to you as whatever you need them to be in that moment. Around noon one day, a friend, who I will call D, and I were sitting at the bar in my kitchen, talking, when the phone rang. It was another friend of mine on the other end, I will call him O. As we were talking, D, who was sitting next to me, asked me something, so I told O to hold on, and I set the phone down on my leg to answer the question. When I picked the phone back up, O said, "What the hell was that?" I said, "What?" He said, "There was screaming and growling on the phone." I said, I didn't hear anything. He then said, I gotta go, and hung up on me. I kind of laughed and started telling Dee what had happened. About mid-story, something roared in the middle of my living room. I don't mean it sort of growled a little, I mean it sounded like a full-grown lion was in my living room. But there was no living thing in my living room. There was no TV on, no kids in the room, nothing. I jumped off the bar stool and bolted out the front door yelling, "Get the kids," and left Dee and the kids in the house. She sat there watching me go as I was running and yelling. I know. I agree. I should win the Parent of the Year award, right? Some time ago, a friend and I had a paranormal investigation team. We were contacted by a woman who was in fear for her family's lives. She wanted to meet with us and see if we would investigate her house and possibly tell her what she needed to do about the entities that plagued her family. We agreed to meet with her, and so it was set up for the next day. A bit of her situation: she had 3 kids, 2 dogs, and a cat or 2. They had been having problems with the coffee pot burning them when it wasn't plugged in. The older son would growl in his sleep, he was also being scratched. They were seeing the apparition of an old man and a little girl who they had started calling Nellie. They were seeing their pets in rooms that they weren't in. Feeling something following them around the house. Hearing disembodied voices. Appliances would turn on of their own volition. The TV would write out answers on the screen if someone asked a question. So anyway, we asked her to get rid of the kids and the pets for the night. This way they wouldn't be a distraction, or wouldn't mess with the equipment we would have to set up. She had her mother come and take them all when we came back that evening to set up and get started. We had been set up and recording for about 45 minutes by now. As the homeowner's sister and I walked into the hallway, which was just outside the kitchen door, we heard a faint scratching sound. No more than a second later, a very heavy, solid wood, pub-style chair was sent sailing across the floor at us. We were in the dark with something throwing large pieces of furniture at us. Suffice it to say, we were both out of there. I don't think I have ever managed to run that fast in my life. As we were finishing up on the second floor, something started pulling my hair. I felt it, the homeowner and her sister saw it. When we reviewed everything, we clearly heard their dog barking, which we all watched leave earlier. We caught the sound of the chair coming across the floor toward us, which there was no footage of because the camera glitched at this exact moment. We got photos and video of their TV spelling out answers on the screen when questions were asked. And the quote old man was talking. Needless to say, we ended up getting all the footage we needed for them that night. She later went on to try to sell the home. I don't know if she ever did. After we left the property, we had a whole other experience of our own. But that story is one I will tell at another time.